Hi everyone, my name is Grant Sherrod of Heartstring Lessons, and today I just want to go over all the skills that I taught in the guitar. And I have this idea that I'm working with now, where apparently there's a meme of that, and there is a way that when you stream things on YouTube, especially longer videos, that you can get a lot of plays. And then YouTube basically does, I think, for every 10,000 or 100,000 views, I think you get $100. So like 1 million views is I don't know, $1,000 or something like that. So what I thought was I would just kind of like make a blog of what I was teaching, and then also show how to do some guitar scales. I figured more than 1 million people right now who play the guitar should learn more scales than that one, because they cover the whole guitar. And so anyway, I taught today about 12 different students, and started out with an 8-year-old, and I'll move back just a little bit. Started with an 8-year-old, first time playing the guitar. Tried the electric guitar. Not really super stoked on it. Not really good with the pick. So today we tried something called a rest stroke, and that is where you finger pick and move up a little bit closer so you can see. And what I hate when people do that thing. And what you want to do is you have your two fingers, and you want to have your thumb usually on the acoustic guitar, but you want it on the top string. And what you'll do is you'll hit the string, and then you'll actually catch it on the string above it, and then you switch. It's actually getting caught on that B string. So kind can actually get pretty fast. We just did Happy Birthday using rest strokes. So and we really just tried to focus on making sure that when we put our finger down on the guitar, that it's close to the fret. That's how sound works. You're shortening the string by making the metal part the new length of the string, so the pitch goes up all the way up there. And it's really important when doing finger picking to really hit there, because if you don't hit here, sometimes it doesn't sound as good. And then you can also go and do rest strokes up and down. But you'll see that your hand starts to get cramped up as you go. So what you want to do is you want to have your hand be able to move. This is why it's better on an acoustic guitar, but your hand's going to move proportionally to there. And this is mostly used for like flamenco guitar, so you can go like. So you can use it in that. And it's actually really good if you can get your finger picking on point. So my next student came in, and we tried doing a little bit of like an E major chord. Get in the basics. A major, D major. With this you can play a lot of songs, especially you can make a 12-bar blues with it. If you don't know what that is, it's open E string, 2nd fret on the A string, it's a B note. third finger on the second fret of the D string, it's an E, and first finger on the G string, first fret, G sharp, all the way down. Very confident sounding chord. Someone walks into the room. Good to meet you. Brighten up your day. E major chord, and then A major, A string, first finger, second fret on the D string, it's an E. Middle finger, second fret on the G string, it's an A. And ring finger on the second fret of the B string, this is C sharp. Then try not to hit the top E, because when you hit this E on the top, it overpowers the A. It doesn't come out as clear. And sometimes people struggle with that quietness. So you just want a really high arch on your hands. You don't want your hands like this. You want them to be like shooting a basketball. Circle. Arch. You can also move your second finger to the second fret on the top, your first finger below. Get a little bit better space. And then we try a D chord. It's like a triangle. So you have your first finger, second fret of the G string, ring finger, third fret of the B string, and middle finger, second fret of the E string. And you really just want to hit the D string to keep the clarity going. Because if you hit the A or the E, definitely not the E, because those sound terrible together. They're way too close in their space. And then that's all right, but it sounds more like an A chord with the D over it, so I just try to stick with the D. You just get a clearer sound that way. Then we just tried switching chords, so I put up a drum beat. Put up one right now. So put up a drum beat, and we just tried to play it for a measure, right? So kind of get them in the groove, how to count to a measure. Be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, So, and at the end, he said that he's having sort of trouble switching around, but it's really just a thing that's about practice, honestly. Like, I wish there was an easy way. I have a couple tips on switching that I can give, but overall, you're just going to have to practice the tips. So, one tip is a lot of people always start every chord with their index finger. So it doesn't matter what it is. So if it's like this D chord, or let's do this, let's do the E major chord. So if it's an E major, even though my root is E, most people, when they set this chord up, they always start from their first finger, just because I guess it's the first finger they think of. So they start it here, and then they try to fill it all in. But if we look at it in the context of time, you want to start from here, because you can hit this, and as you're going down, you can fill in the chord. So really, you always want to go low to high, starting at your root. In any chord, that's how you build up speed. You can also cheat. So when you go and play it, you can just hit the root. 1, 2, single, strum, give you time to settle. want to set your chords up like this, because then it's awkward. It's not how you want to drive it. So then if you start, and then even on the A, you want to always start at the top. You don't want to start here and then try to fill it in, because it's not how the chord is going to strum. So you want to start here. Really be disciplined to get the highest finger at the top. Same with D, always up, because it gives you time to set up. And then what we did was I tried to start just playing the chord. Slows down just a little bit. So we'll go like this. We'll strum, just do a whole note. So it means the whole time. So just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then really it's just a matter of giving yourself enough time and then getting the spaces down in between to not be there. And really the best way to do this is, honestly, I think, I don't know if there was ever a time where I really didn't have a drum machine, I guess, maybe for a little bit, but basically I think what made me understand and shift is always having something to push me. So like the drum machine, having a metronome which just clicks on the beat. Download an app, even though I really recommend getting a super boring clicking old school metronome just to have. Just super boring. Don't have an app. The app it has so many features that you just don't need. Like all you need a metronome to do is click. That's about it. You don't need different sounds, just click. Then if you really wanted to play it for a year or so, I really recommend like getting recording software. Like for Logic, it's $200, but then it comes with a drum machine, tons of amplifiers. Like you get to experiment with what your guitar sounds like. You can record it, and hopefully by this time you need, a couple of scales, so you can start to even improvise over it. That's a different thing. But so what we did from there is he said he liked jazz, and I was like, okay, well, a lot of jazz is going to be, first of all, knowing your bass note chords and knowing the roots, right? So you can find it on a chart really fast. Be like E, A, D, G, C, F, E. And just like going down and even making it like boom. Like really just like watching the chart, looking for the changes. But also they're just adding sevenths. And he's like, well, what's a 7 chord? It makes like everyone freaks out when you say 7, but it's like, okay, if I have an E, so E, and I have my music scale, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The note that comes before E is a D in my scale. So if I start it from D, or from E, the note that comes before it is a D. So that's going to be my dominant 7 in this case. So I just add a D. So originally I had E, B, E, G sharp. So I'm going to take out this extra E, just the D string. I'm just going to play it like that. It's an E7. Now it doesn't sound that pronounced for me, so I like to add the D up here on the 3rd fret of the B string. That really adds some, this is a whammy bar, but that really adds the actual presence, I think, that you want. And then the timbre of these, you don't really want to go unless you're finishing a song. So if you're opening up with it, it's probably best to be like, try to play them soft, gentle. And then then when you're ending a song, that's a good time. E, fifth of A goes blah blah. That's a different whole thing. So yeah, and then the seventh for A. So what note comes before A in a music scale? G. So where do I have a G on my guitar? So originally I had E, A, and C sharp. So I just lift up my middle finger, let the G string, let the G string free, and then strum. You have an A7. If you haven't heard that joke in your guitar player, I don't know. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. I got it out of the way the first time. I like it in the middle. And then, so that's your A7. Same thing. If you're going to end fifth of A is D, so be like anyway. Then D comes before D in the scale, it's a C. So here's my D. This note was a D. So I'll move that to C. There. D7. Fifth of D is a G, so I just resolve back to there. Probably do it more like this, jam it out. So 7 chords. And next guy came in, has an electric guitar. He was kind of wondering, you want to learn Imagine Dragons, sort of Believer, but there's a lot of timing that goes into that. So it's not like eighth notes, which I could normally count with a drum set. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm getting 8 notes. So it'd be like, I don't want to do it for copyright, but let's do this instead. So it'll be like, hitting a note on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's not exactly I'm going to switch the drum set, so it's not exactly boom and 2 and 3 and 4. It's going to swing a little bit. The swing sounds terrible right now. Yeah, so it'd be more like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So it's going to be a little bit accelerated into the beat. And then just being able to switch your hand. Switch your hands like that. That takes a little bit of work. The guitar is not necessarily as accessible in the beginning as maybe the piano would be, where it's like a piano's here, but I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. Anyway, you just sound and you just press into the keys. Nailed it. The guitar is a couple steps, but at the same time, we can move around with our instrument, which is fun. So just be patient, really try it out. And then I had my next student came in. She she was trying to do a melody on the acoustic guitar for a song. But the thing about an acoustic guitar is it's supposed to be like good on its own, but really, if you're the only one sort of playing a melody, like on one string, like, or let's do nah, it'd be it's okay. My guitar is adding a little bit of reverb, but I'd ask her to do the octaves. So like what an octave is on guitar is it's if you have your do re mi fa sol la ti do scale, do re mi fa sol la ti do 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 do. These are both do's, but this is up an octave, so it's the same letter G A B C D E F sharp G. It's exactly half, double the frequency of this, so it mixes really well. It actually makes it sound more like your guitar is a horn. So what I did is I told her if you want to add volume, and meaning mass and density to the melody, you can be like. And by that, just moving the notes by the octaves. And then in between, I have my 16th notes. And I just keep this rocking, and I have to really separate keep this going and only focus on this hand is really the trick. So you just let this one go, and then you have to think in your mind what melody you actually want to play. So it'd be like ba 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 ba. And you'll find that will be on the up. The first one is on the down, and then up. But you won't really have to notice it. And you can get a better melody. We worked on that. It's actually a pretty powerful sort of technique to have really in anything. You know, to get like the funk and everything in there. So, and I also told her to use a thicker pick, because if you want something to be percussive and move the strings, having like a really thin pick is going to take way more force than you need to move it, where this is just going to create that sound. And you really want to have a loose wrist, and you don't want to go like this with your hand. You want to turn your hand like you're sweeping a broom, or you are turning a lock in a key. That helps with all types of picking. Yeah, we kind of did the rest strokes, but one student, we've been working on the pentatonic scales for E minor. You can check these out. I have them on my Patreon account. The actual full chart. I'll include a full chart on my Facebook page that you can download. Learn these are the principle of any song, whether acoustic guitar, electric guitar, like just learn your scales. And that's a whole thing I'll talk about later, but went through that and we were trying rest strokes. So just went. actually put up a groove after that, a groove. A minor to C, and I had him improvise and actually explore. And you'll find that when you're playing certain notes like a C, that sounds good. Maybe not so good. See, so you wouldn't want to bend if that C's there. So you kind of figure out these things. Going back home is cool. Get that like ode to joy. So, and then you kind of figure this out, but like over an E. Kind of figure that out, and you really start to experiment that music is like people, personalities. Each one of these notes have personalities that feed off of each other and are sort of like colors too. If you have blue and green next to each other, they sort of work as colors that sort of mix well together. The ocean, they're cooling colors, but if you have blue and red next to each other, they're just like opposites. It's just not going to happen. And you are painting in a sense. People do interpret music cognitively through colors, where that's pretty fun. But that'd be for more of a philosophy, music in the mind lecture. But it's pretty cool. You can check it out online at UC Berkeley. I'll include a link on music and cognition. Not a lot of funding goes to that, but anyway. Cool. So we're about halfway through, and as you can tell, there's a lot of content that I did, and then the next student came in, and a lot of them, everyone always just knows one pentatonic scale, so I try to liven it up, show them that there's like, hey, there's this, started from G. So when you have a G chord, you'll know. Where it sounds good chordally, where you can play along with it. So we played. And I had him solo over that in A minor. I did a flamenco. I did a flamenco sort of thing over it. Has some kind of just play on one string, just get the solo, try to make a melody. Now, when I had a new student, he was trying the electric guitar. He thought it was a little bit more fun, easier to access, which it is. It just depends on your personality. So, and I'm gonna get noisy. We did I Love Rock and Roll, and it has a pretty cool groove in it where you can actually try playing chords in the rock and roll style. Which is like sort of abbreviated, but yeah, it's not exactly it because I don't know how copyright works quite yet, and they'll figure me out. So we did that, and if you're gonna play like a rock E chord, you just want to bar it. So you have your E, right, and then second fret B and B note, and second fret E note, and you want to hold these down with a bar, and then you want to hold it in a way that you're muting the rest of these, because you don't want to play the song like that. You don't care about these. You want to keep all those quiet. You want to be precise, right? So it's not like you're just strumming. You only want to hit these. So don't be too crazy, because then you'll get and it sounds terrible. So you got to be precise with this. And then what I'm doing is I hit, and to rest, I'm covering this part with this hand, and then I'm using this part of my hand at the back of my guitar. I'm quieting it. That keeps it tame in between notes. And we just tried going from E to A to B. The same thing goes with B as your power chord. You want to have this finger covering the rest so that when you strum, and even touching the top of the guitar, you can see my fingers touching it. So I'm muting that. Right? And just getting a groove and jamming over that is actually pretty tough. And then the last thing I did was, and go back to change this from complete metal to something nice again. I was doing what we call inverted thirds. These are, you can also call them sort of Hendrix chords. So you take like a regular major chord like this, and you would keep this, and you just keep that with there. Strum it. And you're actually going to bar one up. That way you can do a hammer on that gives you full sound. And you go down the string below. I'm adding the major, turning it into like a D chord, sort of up here, but I'm barring it. You can see that comes back in. You'll see Jimi Hendrix does this all the time. So just real basic techniques, but you can do a lot with them. As far as like the musical aspect, metaphysics, a lot of these scales are kind of like, people hate on scales, right? So people hate on scales because they say, oh, it's not music. You don't have any emotion in that. But then the reasons that they come up with is like, oh, you don't have any soul, or that's not just music. And I'm like, okay, so when people make songs that you like Beatles are just like using that chord progression, that's in a key. Every song you like is in a key, and then you show them Miles Davis or John Coltrane, and they're like, I don't get it. What are they doing? Because it's not in a key that they understand. It's not playing scales that they recognize. So learn your scales, one, because then you know when you can go out of the scale. So sometimes, yeah, like you kind of zip around. And passing notes in between. If you know when you're in and out of scale, you can also know like what chords are going down, so you can mess around. So it's just so much easier to learn music. And I tried to say like, what is music theory? And they didn't really know. And I'm like, any theory is just something that continues to predict novel things. At one point it was novel, now it's not so much. Music is novel in a way. Scales are definitely a novel invention, especially on the guitar. Just takes you up it just takes you up to understand music so much easier if you just know, like in our scale or like an arpeggio, like why this chord is at this place in this key. Like it just just makes you like an actual, I don't know, gives you something to talk about in guitars besides guitar itself and gear, right? You can talk about like music and like how it works together, and it's just so much. Just makes you sound better, you can predict solos easier. And everyone comes in and wants to play Eruption. I'm just like, it's just A minor. You learn the scales that should be like this, and maybe work. Some of these scales and these drills. Then, like, yeah, it'd be easy. It'd be easier. It takes some time. You can't really skip those steps because it's not. I don't know how to describe it. It's good. You're doing something, but it's sort of not the point, I think, of if you're going to learn the guitar as an instrument, then you want to learn how to navigate music on the guitar, in my opinion. And it doesn't have to be like anything super crazy. Like, we all have limits. I definitely don't know everything, but scales was something I was like, I'm going to commit to this. My teacher just got real good timing and strict, with a timer, boring metronome, and a drum machine. And I think what happens also is we can start jamming, and I can go into a scale that you don't know, key you don't know, and have you sort of improvise and see like how these all bring out different flavors. So anyway, it's kind of a recap on today. If you have any questions, you can comment below. And if you want to check out my Patreon channel, and I think I was checking out so many charities though, trying to figure it out, and I was looking at the Red Cross, but then they had that thing with Haiti, and they're like, no, it was just like we found a better way. Well, they're like, first of all, we gave 163,000 tarps, and I'm like, okay, what's that cost? Like $100,000? I mean, yeah, 200,000, like $1 a tarp, maybe. I mean, come on, $1 a tarp, and then to build structures like over what, with wood, plywood, so maybe $1 million. So like then you're still out like 399 million. Like, will we use that to secure rental places for people and then give it away? And I'm just like, like I don't know, man. Like, that was just weird. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I tried checking out like the Haiti news, and it looks like it doesn't do anything. They're still talking about the Red Cross online, so I don't know. But I did look at the NAACP, and I was trying to find something that had to do with like low income, raising the standards of education no matter your economic level. Like, that just seems like something that would be like, yeah, like you should learn the book or the math the same as everyone else. And like, can we get like an after school program? Like, how much would that cost to hire someone to like bring some soccer balls for 2 hours and do that? So I looked at the NAACP. They did a lot of stuff in low income. It's not just Black people. Like, if people, there's a lot of legislation that like seems to be only about minorities, but really like there are all types of people that live and attend low income schools. So helps everybody. I figured, and the NAACP has been around for a really long time. They have like gala events with stars, but they get a lot of sponsors, I'm sure, to cover that. And anyway, so all the streams from this, I was gonna just give to the NAACP. They do a lot of charities, and they give tons of money and scholarships to people. So keep up the good work. I don't want to be a charity. I am a charity case for the most part, and I'm also not very good at business. So I decided I was just try to give a little bit. But if you want, please leave a comment below. I teach guitar online. This is the platform, Zoom, that I use, and these is the sound quality that I'd be using as well. And with a long presentation like this, you get probably about 4 or 5 ads I think companies should do a little bit more, so I'm gonna do it for them. Anyway, keep on playing. Check out my Patreon again. Learn your skills. Download the charts. I'll upload the E major, or E minor, and A minor charts up there. And I will see you tomorrow after I teach yet again. Peace.